it's 6 p.m. We will call the Wisconsin Heights School Board Annual Meeting and Budget Hearing to order. Welcoming our electors to the meeting, and we will go around with introductions. Dale, you're the
first one.
first one.
Hi, I'm Dale Green, live in the village of Mazo.
Oh, yeah, you do. Okay. That is just us.
Isaiah Grove, Village of Black Earth.
Mary Beth Shaw, Village of Mazo Meeting.
Barb Stotts, Village of Black Earth.
Mike Wagner, Town of Black Earth.
Matt Road, Town of Black Earth.
Dylan Homenstein, Village of Black Earth.
Angie Wolf, Town of Mazo.
That is all of us. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I move to elect Michelle McGrath as the chairperson for our meeting.
Second.
Any opposition to that? Okay. Isaiah?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Dylan?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Okay.
Oh, Dale, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Or would you like to be the chair?
no,
Would you like to sit in the chair up here and join the group?
I'm good.
Okay, we will go to number 5 on the agenda and designate a clerk for the meeting. And we have Angie Wolf, our clerk, here, so we will designate Angie Wolf as the clerk. We'll go to number 6 for approval of the minutes. So I'll need a motion to approve the annual meeting minutes from October 23rd, 2023.
So, second.
Isaiah is first, and then Mike is second. All right, any discussion? All right. Can I just say all those in favor, or do I just gotta say?
No, you can do all that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. State of the schools report, that's me. Couple things I'll just share. We have currently 790 students enrolled. 64 students are open enrolled into our district, 78 are open enrolled out of our district, and 7 students are in the virtual academy. State of our buildings are actually in a really good spot. We have lots of updates on the docket for safety in a lot of our buildings, and those will be in the forefront as we move into the next couple months. Solar. So the elementary solar is up and working.
Nice.
The middle school, high school is not. So this weekend they came, actually everything was shut down for all of it to be working, but what they found, they needed to make some adjustments to the inverters. So Full Spectrum will need to bring a team back here and reprogram and repair them. And so we have to do that when there's no school, because we have to shut down the power and everything. So we're hoping to do that around Thanksgiving break week. So just making sure we get that scheduled, and then hopefully the middle and high school will be full power as well. So other than that, everything with our buildings are going well. Staffing. Unfortunately, due to a recent resignation, we have a middle school, high school, school counselor position opened. We are calling everybody we know, hoping that we can find somebody to fill that position. Right now, we don't have any applicants. It's kind of a rough time to be looking for someone. So, graciously, our team at the, whether it's Dale, all of our high school folks, are really just jumping in and helping as best they can. So we're appreciative of that. And then just a small gap in our food service, but hoping to fill that soon. Couple of big things, handbook policy deep dive. So this past summer, we spent a lot of time looking at student handbooks, our emergency response handbook. All of those, we worked with our legal teams as well. So have some of those in place, which we'll continually look at to improve. And currently, we're looking at our staff handbook and our co-curricular handbook as in looking at those this year and bringing those for board approval as well as we move into the So, test scores, we made the news, you saw that, top 3 of the highest performing school districts in Dane County. So that was exciting on the forward exam. Athletics and activities, one of the things we talked about, lots of participation, some new clubs popping up, that's been really exciting, and a lot with, Miss Winters and her efforts to get people involved and kids excited about some new clubs, but lack of advisors for clubs, just trying to find people. One of the things we're looking at is Derek and Bev and I are looking at compensation for not only our staff, but for advisors and coaches and things like that too, so seeing if maybe that has something to do with it as well in the future. So, ACP and planning is a priority. We're working with our teachers right now on looking at that career component and trying to bring more, vibrancy to that. A lot of our teachers are really excited. Dale just brought on someone from CISA, can't think of his name.
Scott Carr,
who came in and did a great job with our staff, getting them inspired to figure out ways that they can provide opportunities within their classroom for our kids, to bring that to the forefront. We've been working diligently on positive school culture with assemblies and recognition. School song and Vinny are back. So we just, at the middle school assembly, we just sang the school song 4 times to teach the middle school students. And like I said, and then we got Vinny the Vanguard back. Tomorrow we're having a video team come in and they're shooting all sorts of video footage to put together a promotional video for our district. And so all of the school will be out on the football field tomorrow in the shape of a WHSD. And then we'll have the drone take a all school district picture and some shots of our district as well. So excited for that. And then another emphasis, just working as a school district community, so 4K-12, trying to figure out ways that we can collaborate. Our administrators did a great job at homecoming, bringing those folks together and doing some really cool things around assemblies and spirit days and things like that, so continuing to do that. So I could talk for, the next 7 hours about all of the things, but those are my updates. We're in a really good spot, so. Okay, now I gotta, okay, all right.
Chairperson.
Yes, I forgot I'm the chair today. So now we are going to turn it over to Derek, who is going to give us our 2024-2025 budget summary report.
I'm just moving.
It doesn't really matter, does it, since it's not?
No, it's not.
I'm so used to having to go up there. So 24, 25 budget, this is kind of laying out what our plan is for the year we're currently in, and kind of, not only this year, but kind of what's happened and what's going to happen. Kind of my items to review are go over our 3 largest funds, which are Fund 10, our general fund, which does all the operations for the district, teaching and kind of maintaining the district. Fund 27, which is our special ed fund, and that's for the actual additional costs of implementing the IEPs, individualized education plans for students in our district. And Fund 50, which is our food service fund, which is exactly like it sounds, feeding all the kids in our district that we have to. So I'm going to go through what's in the budget, what makes up our funding, the all-important tax levy, and then kind of look at the end, the change in the equalized value of the district, so that kind of delineates where the property values are and how the tax is going to get apportioned up or split up between those municipalities and how that has changed over years. So here's kind of a high level in the kind of big high level categories. Salary benefits, that takes up the majority of our kind of costs, just like every other district around the state. 60 to 70% of that is kind of in salary benefits. Supplies, a lot of people think, okay, what are districts spending it on and how do we save money? Supplies usually isn't the answer. Buying the cheap old toilet paper won't save the district and get us out of a budget hole if we were ever in that. But that's kind of classroom supplies, janitorial supplies, buildings and ground supplies, paper that goes in the district and that we can kind of print for classroom materials, all that's kind of in there. So kind of seeing how that, and also in the food service, in that supplies line is the food that we're actually feeding the kids. So that's kind of what's all encompassing there. Transportation, that's how much it costs us to get our kids to and from school and to the co-curricular and extracurricular events after the day's done. That number is kind of very similar to last year's budget, and that was actually our contract, our renewed contract with the bus company came in about the same as it was last year. And I kept the budget the same because we might see some savings because Melissa's doing a very good job in the athletics transportation, not using coach buses and finding school buses to take us. Because as you can imagine, coach buses cost more if you're doing a trip on a coach bus. So we're kind of finding ways to save in that area as well, kind of by utilizing our contacts, resources, and just working out the best interest of the district. Utilities, that was a strategic item that I left very similar to last year. I did not know when the solar would be implemented, and last year we kind of came in under budget because we had a unusually warm winter, so we weren't heating as much as we were the prior year. So I left the budget number the same. We had cost savings last year in the utilities kind of area, so we were able to kind of repurpose those at year end for some items that, and I wanted to kind of hopefully have that flexibility again this year. So I left that the same, but moving forward, we might see that number drop where we kind of start to realize those electricity savings that the solar is going to be providing. So I'm going pretty quick here. I want to pause, take a breath, let anybody ask any questions if they have any.
When I was looking at last year's budget that we approved at the annual meeting, it looked like athletics and co-curriculars was 100,000 less in the budget.
Yep.
What's the reason for this one being
We
higher?
have a full-time AD position now, and there were some kind of areas where we had went over in last year's budget in athletics, so I wanted to kind of build that kind of more realistic picture in to kind of what the total cost would be for this year. And also kind of foreshadowing if I knew that extracurricular pay schedule was potentially going to be looked at, so I didn't want to be going way over the budget in case that happened as well. So there's a little flexibility in there, not much, but that's one of those items where if we're going to do that, I would kind of probably increase this a little more going into next year as well. So,
Quick question about salaries and benefits as a percentage of the whole budget. You said it was like between 60 and 70%?
Yeah.
What is an average school supposed to be? Is there like a ratio that's supposed to be?
So
What do they recommend?
there's no recommendation, but statewide, we're right in line with about everybody else. And so it's anywhere from 55 to 75, depending on region, area, and kind of what the kind of election of the board is, if they want to be kind of one of the top tier or higher paying schools in the area. Sometimes you might see that as kind of the 70 to 75% of your total budget, whereas other districts it might be 55, 60, just because they're a little smaller. And when you're a smaller district, operations then take up more of your overall budget than the salaries, because it still costs a lot to heat, run, and provide all the utilities for the district. And if you have more kids and more people spread it all over, that drives that
All right, thank you.
salary benefit percentage up. Buildings and grounds, as you see, has some money in Fund 10 still. That's by design. We'll always have some buildings and grounds monies in Fund 10 for just operating and maintaining the general cycle of maintenance for the building and kind of the campus. Our plan is to kind of, moving forward, have some of those kind of more capital related costs move to Fund 46. So as we're kind of setting money aside into Fund 46, which you'll see later, we're contributing in there to kind of offset kind of our projected deficits in year 3 and 4 of our kind of referendum planning. so that we can kind of strategically move funds out of the general fund into Fund 46 for those board authorized projects on the capital improvement. And then if I was in your seat, I would ask, okay, you're going through all these there very nicely, then you get to other operations and it's like, why is that 4 million?
Why is that for me?
So in that bucket is all our interfund transfers, so our transfers to special ed, which is roughly like 1.6 million. Our transfer to Fund 46, which I'm kind of building in and projecting roughly 400,000. And then our transfer to food service, which I have kind of I'm on the high end of, it's at like roughly 100,000. I don't think it'll be anywhere close to that. I just was budgeting conservatively on the revenue side and the kind of high on the expenditure side. But also in there is all our payments for like open enrollment out, which is, I believe, between 700,000 and 800,000. So as you can see, that adds up pretty quickly, and we're almost at, or kind of getting close to that 4 million mark. And it's kind of a lot of other things as well. So the three big ones are open enrollment, interfund transfer to a couple different funds. And kind of any purchase service in there, so if we're kind of outsourcing things to CISA, that would be in there as well. Which is kind of why you see that in the Fund 27 section. That would be kind of our purchase services from CISA, who kind of provide part-time services, so we don't have to have a full-time, kind of very specialized positions. Good. So I went through a lot there, and the next couple slides are kind of going to be just different ways to look at the same information. So it's a little more kind of, so we'll kind of move to the next slide. So this is just kind of putting it in a different frame, but okay, by functional area or kind of subject area, where are the costs at? So it's kind of all those buckets kind of combined together, but now by, okay, undifferentiated curriculum, which means elementary. Regular curriculum, so the 120,000 through 160 are really middle school, high school, kind of direct instructional costs. And then the support services are kind of pupil services, instructional staff, which is kind of instructional staff training, some IT costs are in there, and then kind of general admin, which are the building level superintendent is in there, district office, school building administration are our principals, and kind of overall building budgets at that point. Business administration, no, I do not cost that much. That's the question. That is not just me. That is not just me, Rachel, and Bev in that area. That is all our operations of the building, so it's business office, it's maintenance, it's custodial, all of those costs are in there, including kind of the kind of capital projects as well. So transportation is also in that one. So there's a lot of things in there. It's just kind of deceitfully named as business administration because they want to make us explain it. It's like accountants wrote the Wilbur book, and now they're playing tricks on us as well. So then kind of central services and just kind of all the other functional areas. Any questions on this one? Dylan?
Co-curricular activities, is that a different definition than the first slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this would be just the coaches and the supplies for the sports. Transportation is actually down in the 250s, so the athletic transportation has to get coded in transportation function, and it can't be up in that co-curricular.
But really, it should be understood as an athletic
Yes.
expense.
Yeah, that's why the athletics one on the previous page was a lot more, because it actually has the athletics transportation included in that to give a true cost.
So then the AD position is categorized as school building administration?
Yep.
Okay. Why, vocational curriculum seemed like it went up a decent chunk too. compared to last year?
We had sub last year as our base teacher, family consumer
Oh.
sciences, and we have a full-time teacher now.
Gotcha.
And there was also budgeted for a business ed teacher as well, that hasn't been filled, so we're kind of leaving that with the kind of intent that that's going to be. Okay.
I have one more question, sorry, Gary. For when we do the, cost of living increases and that, is that generally gonna be seen in 22,000 instructional staff services, or?
So that would be spread across, I would say, all the instructional related functions, as well as kind of our general admin, building admin, business administration, and then kind of pupil services as well. Instructional services doesn't really have a ton of like related salaries in it. It's a lot more kind of curriculum, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Does that answer the question?
Mhm.
Okay. So if I was doing the cost of living, I would actually go back to the previous slide and do it on the salaries benefits rather than on kind of a functional area here. This is kind of giving a high level, okay, where did we end the year? 22, 23, we added to fund balance. 23, 24, we added a little bit to fund balance. And I'm trying to keep 24, 25 to either get it break even or even spend down fund balance a little. That's my goal for kind of the district, because sitting at a fund balance in the 40% is not, I won't say it's not okay, I would say it's going to generate a lot of scrutiny from taxpayers, legislators, and others as to why are you asking for referendum money if you have this much of a fund balance, which is a valid question, and that's why we have to be kind of strategic, and if there's ways to do one-time projects to kind of utilize that fund balance when we can, we have that availability as a board. Kind of put that on your radar as well, that we have the availability to kind of do one-time projects with that fund balance on.
That non-compliance and safety is coming in handy. One-time safety out there.
Great use of it.
Yep.
Okay. Then this is Fund 27. As you'll notice, this fund always breaks even at year end, done so by the operating transfer in. That is due to the state currently funding 31 to 33% of our aidable costs within Fund 27. We hope the state kind of jumps that percentage up to kind of offset or not have the general fund kind of be subsidizing Fund 27. We're required to provide the IEP to the kids, so we are gladly doing that. Just if the state would kind of hold up their end of the bargain a little bit, that'd be great. I know, I wasn't. Okay. Fund 50, again, this is kind of just showing the overall operations of our food service department. Kind of, as you'll see, a lot of it is just kind of, there's not much fluff there. It's salaries, benefits, and food, and that's what it is. And you'll see that the operating transfer hits in 24, 25. That's because coming out of COVID, there was higher reimbursement rates for meals, and now we're kind of pulling back out of that, and we're kind of getting back to a more normalized, where a lot of districts, their operating fund or Fund 10 is having to subsidize a little bit of the Fund 50 because it's really tough to make a profit in Fund 50 based on where the meal reimbursement rates are at. Overall, here's kind of what the all fund kind of total expenditures are doing. The first question that you'll probably have in your mind is, wow, it's going down? Yes and no. The reason it's going down is because we're kind of coming to the sunset of our capital referendum project. So those costs are kind of coming off our books naturally like they should. So those were kind of inflating the 21, 22, 22, 23, and kind of creeping into 23, 24 a little. So that's why that is dropping. We're kind of getting to a more normalized state of what the kind of total operation or expenditures will be for operations. And I would foresee that number going up in 25, 26 because there's going to be cost of living increases, just general inflationary increases as well. So I hate to burst the bubble, but we probably won't go down in net total expenditures next year. So I'm kind of foreshadowing that out there. So when it goes up next year, you can say, why are you surprising me with this sticker? Now, this is just kind of a
You know what I'm gonna take out of that? You said you're gonna be here.
good thing this isn't recorded, right?
Very secretive.
Yes, but look all these people that heard that.
So here's just kind of showing where the district's funded at. The red bar is levy funding. The pink bar is state funding. Yes, the pink bar is very, very small, and we're right in line with kind of how we've been funded levy versus state aid from previous years. Yes, it's very low. That's a result of where we are in the aid formula. The aid formula says we're a property-rich district on a per student or per member basis, so they say our taxpayers can incur more of the burden than other districts' taxpayers. We won't get into that more than we have to.
Why not?
And here is just showing kind of high level from our revenue limit worksheet. I tried to break it down into a little bit more simple page, so you didn't have to look at a 2-page, 30-line worksheet. But the big pieces here are the revenue limit with all exemptions went up. Reasons why that went up. We had a non-recurring referendum that added $1 million to kind of our taxable authority. And we had a $315 per member bump that the state budget gave us as well. So $315 times 700 kids, that number plus our $1 million kind of is what's making up that additional levy authority. And then we can hop all the way down to the number everybody's dying to see, the all funds tax levy of $11,315,799. Yes, that is up from last year. It's up by $525,000. Slightly more than was projected in the referendum plan. Reasons why. We had $80,000 in transfer of service. We had students with IEPs move in from another governmental agency that were allowed to kind of increase our revenue limit authority to kind of offset those new costs that were not expected. Our voucher exemption went up about $70,000 more than I was expecting. And what that means is we have Wisconsin Heights residents who are attending a private school under the parental choice voucher program. And how that works is we get the tax for them and then we get to pay a bill in June for them. So in and out, so that Wisconsin Heights residents can go to the private school.
How much is that for us, the voucher cost? Or that flows to our district?
Just under $100,000 for the normal voucher program and just over $30,000 for the special needs voucher program. So $130,000 roughly in total between the two programs.
The creepiest thing about that whole thing is that they made it where it can't go backwards. You can't make any less than the year before. So you can't get any less funding, it's crazy.
So those are kind of the two big things, because our levy projection was at just like 11,100,000, so with those two kind of offsets and the difference in the state aid, that was the three things that are kind of making up why it's a little different. Questions?
So that's essentially because what families in the district decided to do,
Yes.
and that just flows to us as an impact.
Yep.
And to like underscore the inconsistency of planning a budget around that kind of stuff when it can change on a year-to-year basis.
Right,
Out of our control.
Yeah, last year there was 2 students that were attending the program under that normal, and I think this year there's 8. So,
Right.
not really kind of feasible to say it's gonna quadruple in a year, but
Right.
it did, and now we're implementing.
Well, this isn't recorded, so I don't need to say it for recording.
But then kind of looking at, our mill rate is actually down to $9.43 per thousand, or 943 per 100,000. So kind of, our projection was actually for it to go up, the mill rate, but we saw substantial property growth, just like a lot of other districts in Dane County and around the state. So that's kind of a piece. Mill rate's going down, but the tax dollar amount's going up. So that mill rate going down does not mean that your taxes are going down. It means that based on the total value in the district, it might be spread out more, but it doesn't mean that if there wasn't kind of new construction, that your tax bill is going to go down. So kind of, I want to portray that point. Okay. This is just another graphic showing, okay, what has our levy done over the past 7 years. 2021 was the first year of our capital referendum, and then we've kind of seen our non-recurrings kind of jump up a little bit after those times as well. And then 24-25, first year of our new kind of $1 million more non-recurring operating revenue. Okay. Here's the mill rate over time. Fairly steady around that $10 to $11 mark, and lately it's been going down, but that's primarily or solely due to the rising property value. Another graphic that just shows the mill rate and tax levy over time. And then here's kind of the last slide. This is how the municipalities changed in value year over year. And what this means is, of the total levy, how is this going to get divvied out? So, town of Barry, I want to apologize in advance, nothing we did, but based on how your value changed, that township is going to see more of the kind of ultimate tax bill or kind of increase. So because they went up 27% and nobody else went up more than 17, in theory they took more of the pie and are going to get more of the kind of portion of taxes. Village of Black Earth, as you can see, went up 3%. So they are going to kind of receive less of the increase. And these values are all based on if everybody in the district was valued at 100% of their assessed rate. In your local municipality, you may have a different assessed rate on your house versus your neighbor's house. So this is if everybody's at 100% or fair market value. Okay.
Wait, could you say that again?
So all the values here on that last slide were every house in the Wisconsin Heights School District was valued at 100% of their fair market value.
So it's independent of the assessments that the municipalities do?
Correct.
Oh,
So it kind of equalizes everybody, equalizes the playing field across municipalities, because one might be at
right.
80, one might be 85, one might be at 100. So it says, we're gonna equalize everybody, so there's no kind of winners or losers.
So changes like this aren't due to the municipality having the assessor go through.
Nope.
This is Roxbury's land got that much, or Town of Berry's land got that much more expensive.
Correct. Either there's new development or ag changed to commercial or something along those lines where the value of the land went up that much in that municipality.
Gotcha. Thank you.
The only thing that doing a reassessment within a municipality affects is all of that, let's say that municipality gets assessed or apportioned 100,000. Of that 100,000, who's divided it up amongst that municipality? So if
Right.
your house goes up, let's say before the assessment, you had 1%, you would have $1,000 tax bill of that 100,000. And now your house is 2% of the total assessed value. Now you have $2,000 tax bill. But if it stays at 1%, you still have that same $1,000 tax bill.
Right.
So how you change relative to your neighbors in the assessed value. Municipalities divvy up based on assessed value. We divvy, or kind of say, here's what you owe the district based on equalized.
And that comes from DPI.
That comes from the Department of Revenue.
Glad you do this and not me.
New highway engineer out there.
Yeah, that's,
Any questions?
So, it's gonna be. Feel bad for Gary.
So that's one that Michelle and I have already kind of talked about, proactively reaching out to Tom Berry and say, just a heads up, this is coming, and here's why. And so that they're not caught off guard, we're kind of letting them know, but also that,
well,
and then we can have the same kind of talking point when people call. Not if they call, but when they call.
and that is, I mean, not all of Town of Berry is in our district also.
Correct.
So it's just our part that's going up 30%.
Not saying the other parts that are in Middleton aren't going up 30% as well,
Right.
but our part.
It would be helpful to know while we're talking to them. Huh.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Derek.
Derek.
Thanks, Darrell.
Thank you.
So then I think I do this, a motion to adopt the budget presented by Derek.
I move to adopt the budget presented by Derek.
Second.
Second,
I second.
all right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to new business, and so you have 4 resolutions there, and I'm gonna call for a motion for each of them. So do I have a motion to adopt resolution 1, authorization for adoption of tax levy for the 2024-25 fiscal year?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve resolution 2, authorization for provision of school board salaries and reimbursements.
I'll make the motion. Someone's got it.
Unchanged.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve of resolution 3, authorization for provision of hot lunch and breakfast programs.
So, second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last motion, resolution 4, authorization for provision of legal proceedings on behalf of the district.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Is there a motion to establish the date for the 2025 annual meeting at recommendation 6 p.m. on October 27th, 2025?
I move to establish that date as proposed.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Plenty of time for people to get that on their calendars for next year.
Yes. Any other business which may be legally be addressed at the annual meeting?
Dale?
Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn the annual meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we adjourn.
We'll take a 5-minute recess for